name is Camilo Duarte. Um, I'm a postdoctoral researcher at Columbia University in the Department of Mechanical Engineering. And I'm from Colombia, the country. Yeah. So my background actually is computational mechanics. And right now I work at the intersection of computational mechanics and biological research using computational tools to understand how cervical tissue works and how that can actually be used to predict the risk of preterm birth in women during pregnancy. I came to the US in 2016 to do my Ph.D. at Purdue University. I finished my Ph.D. in 2021, and at that time, I realized that I wanted, I would say being in academia could be a good career path for me, but I needed extra research experience. So I decided to apply to postdoc positions. I interviewed with a couple of labs, and then I found a good fit at Columbia University. Then after that, I came to Columbia University, but realized that I didn't want to do research in the application I was working on during my PhD. So I wanted to get more into biomechanical research. So then I decided to talk to another professor. It happened that actually there was an opportunity to start, so I transferred to another lab to basically work on the research that I work on right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, excellent. And can we talk briefly and however you want to conduct this conversation about the main challenges and barriers that you have faced in your postdoctoral training, and especially as a person who comes from a different cultural and linguistic background?
Yeah, no, for sure. So I come from Bogota, Colombia. So we speak there Spanish. So I would say one of the first barriers would be the language. Although I have been living here in 6 years in US and I'm more used to speaking English, still there's a language component that sometimes feels like a barrier. So I think it was at the beginning it was a challenge, that to feel not being 100% fluent in the language. It was challenging at the beginning to express my ideas, or express what I wanted to work on, research and things like that. The second challenge I would say would be to not seeing many people like me in academia, which actually made me feel that maybe I didn't belong here, that there was no path for people like me. And I would say also not related with the language, but related more about living in another country, basically learning and getting used to the culture and how people communicate here was also a barrier. It took time to understand how things like networking happen here in US, or how you should communicate in professional environments. That being totally different from the country I'm coming from to US, it definitely was a barrier at the beginning,
So
and a challenge.
Adapting a little bit to some of the cultural norms in the professional environment.
Yeah.
And how have you overcome some of these challenges? Let's talk first about, let's say, some of the linguistic barriers that you have faced, and then we can move on to discuss more of the cultural norms, how you have found ways of adapting to that new environment.
Yeah, sure. So about the language, I would say time help. 6 years communicating in English, it helps you to become more fluent and speak better, use better language when you're talking about your research. And also, I would say understanding that academia in the US is such an international, space, that people, come from different places around the world. We all speak English, and then we all have accents, and then that's okay. Because that it made me feel comfortable. With, let's say, having an accent or not being able to communicate as well as native speakers. You know, I think like it's kind of like I normalize it, so like feel more comfortable. Yeah.
And let's talk about this, how you have overcome more of the cultural norms about
Yeah.
professional life in academia, and how you have found your place of belonging, or if you
Uh-huh.
still feel in some ways that belonging is sometimes
Yeah.
possible, other times not.
Yeah, so I would say like for like finding a place of belonging, like I had to like I was more intentional about going to spaces and try to find people like me. And then what I realized is that actually there are people like me. Maybe they don't come from Colombia, they are not from a Latin American country, but they had similar experiences. Like foreigner that came to the US and they started their career here, and having conversations with them actually helped me to understand, oh, okay, so this is how you should network in a conference, that, or this is how you write an abstract for a conferences. This is how, or also I've seen, basically finding those mentors that are showing you, like I'm bringing myself, with my culture, to my my professional self, and then they are not like ashamed of showing like 100% themselves in their professional setting. It was very like encouraging also for me, to do the same. First thinking that like I can be myself. I can talk about research and be myself, and second, like also learning from them that like there's some specific rules that you need to follow in academia to to I don't know, if you want to like reach out some places, like you need to network, you need to ask people, you need to be more direct. Like I think that sometimes as a Colombian, we're not used to being direct, asking for directions, so I think that learning that here in US, it really helped me, to take advantage of those professional development opportunities.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And can you tell me about the structural support that you have received so far? Has that been sufficient enough for you? Has that allowed you to succeed in your career path, in your short term, and also towards your long term goals in academia or in research in the field that you work?
Sure. So as a postdoc, I think that I mostly have had access to career development opportunities, being part of the Impact Fellowship Group. So they actually first, they provided many opportunities to like being part of webinars or attending the MPA conference here. Many opportunities to network, to think about start thinking about what's the career that I want, what are the steps that I need to achieve that, and then at the same time like how I should by thinking my career, I'm also thinking about my, let's say, my more personal goals about my immigration, because actually at MPA we had a webinar about immigration, what to like I can do to achieve not only that professional goal that I have, but also my personal goal. So that's from MPA. And from my university, so right now I'm at Columbia University, we have a very active Columbia University Postdoctoral Society. I actually am part of the research and development and career development committee, and just by being part of that, like I think like I developed my a little bit better my communication and also networking skills. I got to know people that I never imagined like I could have met, and also to consider different careers that could be a good fit for me. I'm interested in academia, but I also I can see that those experiences help me to see that there are many paths that postdocs can follow, and then several of them can be a good fit.
And let's say to conclude our conversation here, that what do you feel are, within your institution, the most challenging administrative barriers for advancing your goals and your career path?
Yeah, so I would say like one of the most difficult barriers would be opportunities like for international postdocs. So as an international postdoc, it's very hard to get access to fellowships that allow you to do research independently and basically during the postdoc experience to develop your research vision that it will help you when you start to be a faculty.